leading the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 3 is to approve today's agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 3.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on today's agenda? All in favor? Opposed? Item 3 carries. Item 4 is to approve the previous meeting minutes.
Sure, I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments on the prior meeting minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Item 4 carries. Item number 5 is drainage claims. Drainage District number 5, Roland Section 24. We have some silt in the bottom of the ditch. Drainage District number 69, Branch 1, Johnson Section 27. We have a broken tile. In Drainage District number 16, 31, Calhoun, Branch 4, Fulton Section 29. We have beaver dams in the ditch.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 5.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on today's drainage claims. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 6 is to receive and place on file 6-month pay increase from $15.93 to $16.39 per hour for Levi Prime, Correction Officer, full-time, effective November 2nd, 2018.
Sure, I make a motion to move item number 6.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Item 6 carries. Item number 7 is to receive and place on file the 24-month pay increase for Roxanne Ledley, Sheriff Officer Clerk, full-time, from $16.40 per hour to $17.62 per hour, effective November 30th, 2018.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 7.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments on item number 7? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 8 is to approve Webster County Health Department providing limited funding for infestation assistance with standard screening process through General Assistance Fund. Per recommendation of Carrie Prescott, Director, Webster County Health Department.
Sure, I make a motion to move item number 8.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Carrie?
So, Carrie Prescott, Director of the Webster County Health Department. We had 2 community stakeholder meetings to discuss the bed bug infestation that's happening with some landlord, some tenants, some rental property. When we started assessing the issue, we reached out to our healthcare providers, the emergency room, Unity Point, Berry Hill, and we were finding that there was a common theme in our community that the bed bug infestation, some severe, some not as severe, was affecting multiple entities. So we've had 2 stakeholder meetings to discuss what we can do as a community to address the problem. And so what came out of those meetings is we're going to provide a standardized education and a media campaign that we will share with our landlord association on how to look for bed bugs, how to make sure it is bed bugs and not another type of infestation, and then education on how to eradicate the situation. And so we are working with the Landlord Association to put the educational pieces together. We're working closely with the Berry Hill to streamline referral processes when they identify somebody that may have a situation that the referral can be sent to the health department. We have a central intake process already established that we do 5 assessments on anybody referred to the health department, focusing on transportation, health literacy, socioeconomic concerns, medical, and then what their social network is out in the community. And so through that screening process, if we are identified or if we're called for somebody that has a tenant or if the clinic, any healthcare provider, or anybody identifies that there's a potential person that has a severe infestation, they can go through our intake process and we can do other wraparound services to provide education to the particular person. And my reason for being here today is to explain the process, but to ask for our general assistants to have, if we identify and go through this intake process and screening and identify that there is a need for an outside entity, a vendor to provide bed bug, taking care of the bed bugs, if we can utilize some of the general assistance. From the meeting, we have spoken to the city, the mayor was at that meeting, and they are in their budget process as we are, and was going to go to the city council and maybe speak about that to see if they could also put a line item. So then we would have two kind of funding streams, but we would be this central intake piece for the process to make sure that we had appropriate vendors and we were following best practices for taking care of the situations. So that's why it's on the agenda today.
All right.
Will landlords be held accountable to pay that money back? Do you pay it, or?
So we are working with the landlord because there's some Iowa rules around rental property. So we're not that far yet. We're just opening doors to talk about what they're doing. Do they have a pest control policy, a company? How are they identifying that the tenant may have bed bugs? How are they identifying if the tenant brought them in and they didn't come within the building? Those are all details that we haven't. We're working with the landlord association to talk through that and how do we identify those situations. My piece of this is I don't believe we will heavily tap into this particular fund immediately. We will do a lot of health promotion, we'll do visits and do education to talk about removing clutter from homes. I mean, we're talking severe infestation, and we've identified probably 15 cases in the last year that have come through the health department that have been the severe infestation where we needed to get more heavily involved. We're not talking about we're talking about a population that is transient, that is maybe living in some of our rental properties that we just need to get a little bit more education around. Bed bugs can show up anywhere. I don't want to state that it's just but I mean, we need to start controlling the infestation, the targeted populations that we know.
Do you have an idea of what you're thinking you want to allocate for this?
Well, I don't really want to since we've taken over the general, or we've been provided the administration of the general assistance, we've not allocated the $58,000 every year that's been set aside by you for general assistance. So I mean, we can allocate about $5,000. I don't really want to put a dollar figure on it. We just want to make sure that we stay within your budget. We just want to make sure that we add to that amendment. To the ordinance, we had an amendment that said we would only pay X amount of dollars, X amount of dollars. So all we want to do is increase one additional service that is appropriate to be paid for out of the general assistance. And then we are also speaking to other county entities to see if there's also, it'd be ideal if we could do, the county would pay for one, the city would pay for one, maybe the healthcare system would pay, as we figure this out as we move forward. But we're not there yet, so this was our first stab at trying to be a community partner.
Questions or comments for Carrie or item number 8?
Basically, you're adding the infestation into that general assistance, so it's available to you if you need it for specifically that.
Actually, it's mostly, we'll take care of, we have a health education section within our department. We can do all the printing of the pamphlets within the health department side. It's just those direct services. So if we're working with some infestation companies to see if they can be a vendor of choice, that they would, they'll provide us a deal to provide services, but coordinated with us so that it's a successful solution versus just here's the money. So it's really coordinated, and then that goes to the patient's or the client's willingness to want to receive the help. So that's kind of where we're heading. We haven't done this yet, so it's kind of a school of hard knocks for us. But yes, we'd be looking at trying to figure out a vendor, and we would send out applications to say who can help us, what is the best way to control it, contain it. There are other ways of prevention around, squirting your feet with alcohol, so we need to first push out a media campaign. So.
Other questions?
So are we gonna start with 5,000, or are you gonna give it a number?
I think she just mainly wants to add it under the general assistance
And I
right now.
understand that.
And then,
For budgeting purposes, do we need to go?
Is it a code? Is that what we're looking for?
No, I'm just wondering a dollar amount. Are we limiting it to 5,000 and then she just what comes back, or? are we
I
just-
think what she was asking is that she didn't want to put a dollar amount, but she wanted to be able to add infestation into the general assistance.
and
Yeah.
So she has to use the assistance money that she can, so.
Yeah, so we're not asking to increase the general assistance budget right now. It's just, on the ordinance, we can pay for transportation. Yeah, we just want to add one more service on the ordinance, the addendum that we set every year.
For the general administration one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But I'd like it effective in January for this fiscal year to see what we have.
We should bring the ordinance back in again, and go ahead and re-adopt it.
The ordinance wouldn't need to be readopted, it's just the addendum that goes on it yearly.
Right.
okay, so you're gonna bring that back in January?
I can.
All right. We have a motion and a second on it already. Any other questions? Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Item 8 carries. Item number 9 is to receive and place on file annual manure management plans for GT Agriport at 2845 210th Street, Fort Dodge, Newark Finisher Farm, 2948 200th Street, Duncan, and RSH East, 2716 Gotch Park Road, Humboldt.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 9.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second.
The GT has made no changes to their plan. Newer finishers changes to crop rotation. And he's using manure management plan, and he changes for a year.
Okay. Any questions or comments on item number 9? All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 10 is to review and place on file the Conservation Board Annual Report for 2017-18.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to move item 10.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Carlson? Cosgrove?
Oh, we could let Mr. Carlson do it.
Yeah.
Here today.
Right.
I've got some extras here, so I'll just kind of. Good morning, everyone. Matt Cosgrove, Conservation Director for Webster County. Conservation Board is required annually to provide an annual report. So this one covers July 1st of 2017 through June 30th of 2018. Similar format to what we've used in the past. The front showing a lot of planning effort that the board has undertaken during this last year with our Boone Forks Regional Plan with Boone and Hamilton counties, our Hike and Bike Plan with Fort Dodge, and our strategic plan, 5-year plan that the Conservation Board put together. So with that, as you know, we've been involved in a lot of infrastructure projects here lately, so we've done a lot of bringing our infrastructure up to date in Kennedy with some restrooms, making them more accessible, shelters, our boat ramp area, Kennedy Park, some electrical upgrades because campers just continue to get bigger and bigger and require more electricity. So we've done some electricity upgrades there, and we also added seasonal campsites that have been popular. So 4 seasonal campsites on a lottery basis. Last year was our first year, and it went really well. Camp Winoki, as you know, we've been heavily involved in infrastructure replacement and tearing down an old building there, creating a new lodge. Established some hiking, camping facilities, and a solar cabin for overnight stays, which the bed bug thing's got me a little nervous about right now. We've updated our rules and regulations, which we try to do about every 10 years. And our rangers now, with the help of the Sheriff's Department, have adopted their computers in the truck. So now they can, just like a police officer or sheriff's deputy, can can now issue citations and warnings right from their vehicle. So that's been a nice addition. Managing about 22 areas and then also some management agreements with a few others, obviously the biggest one being Gypsum City OHV Park. Land management activities that occurred, you can see down there some of the things from planting native grasses to burning, seeding, planting trees, spraying, all those sorts of things. And then into the financial report, you can see our expenditures are down a little bit from the previous year, which is always good. The supervisors funded projects there were the electrical upgrade, the boat ramp shelter restroom project at Kennedy, and the Campanoki Lodge. Our revenue, you can see, was up a little bit, which is good. Mainly in our recreational fees, was up almost $25,000, so that was a nice addition with the things we've been adding. Going into the back page is the highlights, so we were able to, after about a 6-year period of grant writing and construction and continued construction, finally opened the Gypsum City OHV campground last July. Again, worked with our partners in Boone and Hamilton counties to create a regional plan where we're focusing on the Des Moines and Boone River recreational corridor. Started with our online reservation system, which has been really good, so now you can make reservations for our facilities and our programs and that sort of thing right on mycountyparks.com. Offered a canoe and kayak rental program. We were awarded a $75,000 Habitat stamp grant to help us purchase a 50-acre addition to our Carlson Recreation Area. Unfortunately, as you know, the DNR terminated our 12-year contract with our shared naturalist position just due to the state budget situation with the DNR currently. We also were a filming location for 2 of the Fireball Run locations. Again, heavily worked on Camp Winoki and was one of the statewide Becoming an Outdoor Woman program location sites. Completed our 5-year plan. Worked on the hike and bike plan, as I mentioned earlier. We renewed a 2080 agreement with the city for our shared trail position, and shot a promotional video through Iowa Tourism for the Gypsum City OHV Park. So lots of stuff going on. You can see down there in the bottom, 10 full-time employees, about 3 part-time or seasonal employees, years of service that they have there. 2 of those employees are cost shared with the DNR and with the city of Fort Dodge. So on behalf of the board and staff, I want to thank this board for your continued partnership. Wanted to thank Merrill, but he's not here today. Merrill's been heavily involved in our infrastructure projects, so a special thanks to him and Nick, who serves on our conservation board. So we appreciate the partnership between the 2 boards, and you can see the things that are occurring in the partnership. So thank you.
Questions or comments for Matt? Thank you for a great event the other night. It was very nice to learn more about the opportunities, and I hope people reach out to you. Do you want to share a little bit about your friends group real quick?
Sure. So what he's speaking of is that we have a nonprofit friends group that's associated with us. They have a separate board, but they help with projects that are mainly our fundraising arm. So they have a couple accounts with the Community Foundation. They have an endowed and a non-endowed account. They have a scholarship program that they give 1 to 2 scholarships per year to students going into a natural resource-based field. But they help us with fundraising efforts. They had their annual meeting, which was an event that Mark was speaking of the other night. They meet every other month. If you're interested in serving on a board, it's a great fun. They're our volunteer arm as well, so they help us put on programs and events and that sort of thing. They help us raise funds for the Camp Winoki Lodge project. They've been heavily involved in the playscape. They actually raised all the money for the natural playscape that's out at Kennedy Park. So they're really a nice addition to some of the stuff we do and complement some of the things that are hard for a conservation board or a county to buy. They are able to come in and help out with some of those sort of things. So it's a $25 membership for a family membership, or $100 for a business. And it's been a great organization and helped us do a lot of things that we weren't able to do before.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Great opportunity. Questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Item 10 carries. Item number 11 is to approve and authorize the chair to sign a permit from Mid-American Energy to install new wires on a pole at 20054 230th Street, Section 11, Township 88 North, Range 29 West of Elkhorn Township.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move item 11.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on item number 11? All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. It is now the citizens' opportunity to address the board with items not on the agenda. Board of Supervisor Committee reports.
Nothing today.
Just the rest of the week, I've got meetings, one in CSS up in Lansing, Iowa, CFR in Webster City, and we've got Keith's meeting out starting on Friday.
We have IDDA, I think is what you're referring to, on Friday at 8:30. We also have set the budget meeting for the assessor's office for January 28th. That is a Monday. We met last night to go over preliminary budget. We have Board of Health on Thursday at 1 o'clock, and I believe Nick said he has another one coming on to Midas. So, busy week. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.